want to inform you about a huge problem in today's society. It's not just a problem for Americans, but it's also a problem for everybody else in the world in some way. This problem is the world's energy crisis. According to the Energy Information Association, the average gas price now is about $4.10 a gallon, and in a lot of places in the West, it's well over $4.35 a gallon. Last year in school, my science teacher was talking about also in California, they're not able to produce enough electricity for the entire state at one time. So what they have to do is take different sections of homes on the electrical grid, shut them off, which results in a sectional blackout, and it stays off for a couple hours, and then after a couple hours, they shut the next section off and turn that section on. And that's the way that they have to do it in California sometimes, because they're not able to create enough electricity to supply the whole state. George Philander from the New York Times wrote that it's been getting hotter every year for the past 100 years. He also wrote a very popular book called Is the Temperature Rising?, which has everything to do with global warming and the depletion of our ozone layer. According to Jason Morgan of Babylon.com, the world's oil supply can be expected to run out completely at the latest by 2070, but it's expected at the rate that we're going now to run out by about 2036 to 2050. ABC News says that ExxonMobil made a profit in 2005 of $36 billion. After that, the chairman retired with one of the most generous retirement packages in history, including $400 million, $1 million in stock options, a private jet, a car with a driver, as well as security. And we, the people, have to suffer for this increase in gas prices. The point is that we can't continue to use oil forever, and there are a lot of multiple other resources that we could use for energy, and one day oil is going to have to be replaced. And here are a couple of the solutions. The first is nuclear energy. The power of nuclear energy was first seen in World War II when the atomic bomb was dropped over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and I believe it's equal to about 60 million tons of TNT. There's two ways to get nuclear energy, and there's the two processes called fusion and fission. Uranium and plutonium are both used in nuclear energy to bombard the atoms. In fission, what happens is the nucleus splits apart and energy is released, and energy is captured inside a reactor, and that's how that's harnessed. Also, a great amount of energy is released when atoms such as hydrogen are put together, and that's called fusion. This sort of fusion actually takes place every day in our universe when with stars, and that's actually how plasma is made. Our sun is full of hydrogen. The next one is solar energy. The best part about solar energy is that it's unlimited. As long as the sun is out, you can harness the sun's energy and use it to turn it into electricity. I have a picture of some solar panels here, and there's some cells in there called photovoltaic cells, and they are able to capture the sun's rays and turn it directly into electricity for use in any buildings or homes. The sun's energy conversion rate is actually a little bit lower than fossil fuels, so it doesn't create as much electricity, but it still does not harm the environment at all. It has no pollutants. There's a problem with solar energy is that even though it's unlimited, at times like nighttime or when skies are overcast, there's no sun, you can't rely on the sun to give you the energy 24/7 like you might need. If we were able to store the sun's energy, then that might be able to definitely be a little bit more useful to us. But if we can't do that very effectively, then it's not as good as fossil fuels, and we won't be able to exactly replace it. People today, though, are still installing a lot of solar panels in their home, and it's saving them tons of their electricity bills because you can run simple appliances such as microwaves, fans, refrigerators, just simple things like that, a couple at a time, but it still saves you money. The next one is wind energy. Wind energy can be very useful, but the only problem is that you can only use it in certain places. To rely on wind energy, there has to be a steady, high-velocity wind in the area. So in a lot of places in the world and in our country, it's not very available because there's not constant winds that you can rely on. But places like the Midwest, they put a lot of wind turbines, like I put here in a picture. They look like windmills, but they're actually turbines that capture the wind's energy. and as long as the turbine spins, it's able to create electricity. And in the Midwest, America's jet stream flows right through, and that's a great source of wind energy. Wind energy has been around for close to about 100 years, but hasn't really been industrialized in the U.S. because of these needs that you have to have a constant wind pattern. A great example of a place that does have a good, efficient wind energy program is Norway, where 19% of their energy produced is, or their electricity produced is by wind energy. Projects are currently also being formed in Florida, where these turbines are being put about a mile out in the ocean, and there's a lot of good ocean currents out in the ocean, and that's working out pretty well. The next one is synfuel. Basically, synfuel is just synthetic fuel. It's just recently been discovered, and hopefully one day it will be able to replace gasoline in cars. It's been compared to ethanol, but it's not exactly the same. Ethanol is about 85% as like conversion rate energy to fossil fuels, when this is just about as equal to the efficiency of fossil fuels. It's also a lot easier to extract and distribute, if need be, to different energy supplies. This right here shows diesel fuel burning compared to synfuel burning, and synfuel burning is a great amount cleaner than diesel or any of the regular gasolines that we're using nowadays. And running a car on ethanol would actually require a lot of engine modifications, whereas if you just use synfuel, it would run fine on any regular engine. The last main source, alternative energy source that I found was hydrogen energy, and this is one of the most critical because it's being developed the most. Hydrogen is the simplest element known to man on Earth, and it is also the simplest element known on Earth. Capturing H2 alone is very difficult because it's lighter than air, so it just floats upwards into the atmosphere, but it can be found in compounds such as H2O, otherwise known as water, in a process called electrolysis. It actually breaks down the water into hydrogen molecules and oxygen molecules, and after that is able to use the hydrogen molecules for energy purposes. Hydrogen also has the highest energy potential content of any common fuel by weight. It has about 3 times more than any kind of gasoline that we're using nowadays. And according to hydrogencarinfo.com, many current brands of cars are currently working on developing their hydrogen model cars, such as BMW, Mazda, Chrysler, and Ford. And also, one of the best things about the hydrogen cars is that there's no pollution. The only exhaust is a single molecule of water. And not only would hydrogen cars be revolutionary, but I've also talked to a couple people and seen a lot of news about people that are saying they're able to run their cars on water, and that would really be efficient, and that would change the world forever if you could run your car on water. But yeah, so these are all different alternative energy sources other than fossil fuels. And in conclusion, we just need to stop using oil and fossil fuels, because it's polluting our air, and we're just going to run out eventually, so we have to change sometime.